Hi, this is ALCIONE Silva, and you're listening to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast.
I actually almost forgot to fade that out then. I was just going to sit here moving along and listening to it. You've not heard that artist intro before?
No, I haven't. That's sick.
No, I didn't think you had. There we go. That is in the trade what we consider to be a get. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast. My name is Ian Taylor, and I have not got my intro in front of me, so I'm just kind of making this up as I go along. We are part of the Marvel Cards Fan Collective, an awesome community of card collectors and creators. You can find our two groups on Facebook, details of which are at the end of this podcast, so come check us out. With me is my co-pilot in all things Marvel cards. He's the perfect companion to be stuck on a desert island with, and he can be under my palm tree anytime. It's Norrin Rad.
Aw, so nice.
Sip of coffee, because it's the only way to get through this afternoon. Hello, everybody. Welcome. This week is going to be. I've got no idea what's going to happen.
No.
We're on Skype this week, and what we've said to people is that they can come and jump on and just kind of dial in and call in, if you like. And I know that we have a fair few people hanging on, waiting to come into the. Chris Mixer's here. Oh my goodness! Everyone's
so excited.
There we go.
Awesome.
So I guess the question is, who do we invite in first? Because there's loads of people hanging on. Who was first? Who was first? You know what? Andre Osh.
Andre Osh
is ready to go. So I'm just going to say, add you. I'm just going to type. This is going to make fascinating listening. Ready to add you. You'll be on with other folk, I expect.
Yeah.
Let me copy that. There we go. Copy that. Let's see who else wants to jump on. Oh my goodness me. There's loads of people in the USA and Canada who've gotten up super early to join us. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
I don't know. I'm excited though.
Adding. Who can we add to the call?
Oh wow.
I know everyone's here. They're all well. This is just a list of people on my contacts list.
Right.
So we're going to add Andre in first. Andre Osh. Who knows what's going to happen?
The master.
Let's see. Yeah. Nothing. Is he on? Oh, we're calling him.
We're calling him. We'll let him know.
Yeah. Oh.
Hey.
I can hear something.
Hey, guys.
Hey! Hey! So, for the benefit of those listening who won't know who it is, who are you?
It's Andre Osh.
Oh, there he is. There he is.
Dre Studios.
Oh, marvelous. Good morning, sir. What time is it where you are?
9:25 a.m. I'm in Toronto, so I'm in EST.
Oh, okay. Yep. So same as Norrin. Okay.
Same as me, brother.
I can't get my camera to work. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
That's quite all right. As long as we can hear you, that's the main thing. It's going to be a party here because we've got about. Okay. This is slightly overwhelmingly popular. We've got the next gentleman I'm going to add to this. If I stop sharing my screen, if I can work out how to do it, because I'm very technically challenged.
Share your passwords.txt file.
Oh dear, as well as follically challenged. We're going to add in. Where is he? Greg. No, Greg McLaughlin of the Rebel Base Card Podcast, who is on, but I've got to figure out how to do this from a point of view of this. We're going to have to edit some of this out, I think.
Oh, possibly.
Talk to me, Dre. How you doing?
Pretty good. Actually, I came into the office this morning to do some work, and I saw your post. I was like, all right, I'll make this happen.
Fair enough.
Yes.
No rest for the wicked on a Sunday.
No. Take the work where you can right now, right?
Yeah. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. I simply cannot figure out how to add him to the call, which is very frustrating because I can see him on my phone as a contact, but when I click add call on my desktop, he's not there. So Norrin, you
want me
talk to Dre. You talk to Dre,
Okay.
and I will figure out how to do this.
All right, Dre. What's on the schedule for today, brother?
Like work stuff.
No,
Server
mostly
backed up.
personal. Like, I mean, if you could tell me like specifics of your life, that'd be better. Just
Specifics of my life. Yeah, sure.
sure, why not? It
So-
can be personal.
Yeah, I'm gonna be at the office for a few hours. Do some server backups, answer some emails, and I gotta go home, cook some dinner. Gotta shave one of my dogs this evening.
I have to give my
Shave
dog a bath.
one of your dogs.
Wait, shave?
Well, like with the trimmer, clippers.
Oh,
I can't take her to the groomers, and I don't have the patience to,
See, I thought
properly
you
groom
were
a
like
dog
shave.
for 5 hours. No, not with a razor, but
Okay.
with the clippers at just the bottom of the guard.
Got it.
It's a painful exercise, but
I'm sure. Do you have a big dog, small dog?
no, I got all small dogs. I got a little teacup Pomeranian and a little Maltese, so I got to shave the Maltese.
I have a toy poodle, so we actually have to groom him today as well. So it's pretty adorable.
Yeah.
oh, it's a regular dog fest up in here.
It is a regular
Yeah.
dog.
I'm sure there's something rude to be said about that. Right. Let me see. Right. Let's see if I can now add this young man. This should be Greg McLaughlin or McLaughlin. I can't pronounce his surname. He does it in a rather soft way.
Mhm.
Chris Mix has tried to ring, so I will add
Yes.
him in a moment. So let me just.
Greg!
Morning.
Morning, Greg. How are you?
Good. I was working on something else, and I'm like, whoa, Skype. Hello. Morning.
We are blindly figuring out how to operate this. So I'm having a chat with about 6 different people because this was overwhelmingly successful, and I can't multitask in a typical male fashion. How are you, sir?
Oh, good. And yourself, guys?
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, but so you're in Chicago, yeah?
Yes. So, when I was looking at this this morning, and I caught this because my wife, she goes to she works at the airport and works at we get up at 4:30 in the morning, a few days a week, and then she has to be there by a little after 5. So when I got back, I'm looking at the Instagram feed, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I guess, well, let me see. So went back to bed, woke up, still trying to focus, and then all of a sudden I'm like, well, yeah, I don't know what are they trying to do. I'm like, well, let me just go in there. It was like yesterday. I think the Beyond the Blast Doors guys had this YouTube live thing and amazing all these videos. And so I was like, yeah, I've got my work's done. My podcast is in the can. So I'm like, now it's all gravy from here on out. You guys are the ones having to do all the work today. So I'm like,
Yeah.
Just here to hang.
Yeah, we're
Exactly.
having fun. We did actually, I should say, we did actually have a guest lined up for today. Unfortunately, he's got a few medical issues, nothing COVID related, mercifully. So he had to bail on us at the last minute. And I thought, you know what? Let's just get the party started. So, Greg, you're on with obviously myself and Norrin, and also with us is Andre Orsh.
Hi, Greg.
good morning, Andre.
There we go. I love it. They're getting the gang back together. Are you familiar with any of Andre's work, Greg? I'm not sure
I'm
if Andre's
afraid
worked on
not.
any Star Wars properties.
I'm afraid not, unfortunately.
Well, if you can get your Instagram open, you can find him at Dre Studios,
I'll do that right now.
you can eyeball some of his gorgeousness. So, so Dre, you're in the middle of working on. Am I allowed to say what you're working on?
No,
No.
apparently we're not allowed to talk
Working on-
about it.
You're in the middle of working on, apart from your dog shaving, you're in the middle of working on a new set. I can say
Yeah.
that because everyone's working on
That may or may not be released in 2020.
it. Yes.
Yes.
Everything is being affected by this gosh darn virus. So yeah, no, who knows? Maybe that will appear, maybe that won't appear. I mean, it's worth waiting for, by all
Oh, yeah.
accounts.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Greg, I can say what I think we're talking about, but Andre can neither confirm nor deny.
Sure.
I think that's probably the fairest way to do it. So we anticipate this year that a number of Marvel sets will be released. One of them is Marvel Masterpieces 2020, I want to say. Will it be 2020? Who knows?
I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know. I'm hoping there's a simultaneous release both on e-Pack and physical, so we can get in there. But is that wishful thinking? Yes. But am I hopeful? Absolutely.
Well,
Something that, in joining EPAC when I did, not long after we had spoken, one thing I've come to realize, and this may not be the case, but when you're seeing like the different dates for, like, let's say 2020 or like on EPAC, you have like there's the 2017s and then 2019s. It's almost like the date is not so much, it's not so much like for current, because if you're collecting these, you could be working on this set for years. It's just almost like a small bookmark. So in which case, even though something may come out in 2020, it doesn't necessarily mean if it's 2021 or 2022 that it really matters. It's just these were the sets that were put together, and and sometimes those sets can be rather large. So it's just like, okay, here's the bookmark, go, and we'll see you in whatever.
Yeah. That
It's kind of a
really
street
does
day.
happen. Yeah, it really is. Well, because Jusko's set, the MM16, he finished some pieces in 2013. And the set didn't come out to 2016. So if you look at the back of the cards, a lot of the dates,
and
2014, and on his paintings he puts the year. So when you're looking at the cards, you can actually see which characters he did in 2013 rather than 2016 or 2014 when he started wrapping up. I think that's what we're gonna have to. I think that's what we're dealing with around this time as well. I don't know if this artist, who's an amazing artist, it has put together all the pieces yet, but I don't know. I'm interested. I think it's still early in 2020 to hope for the set to release. I think it's pretty early still, possibly.
So do we know for sure who this artist is? Hasn't been announced, right?
I don't know.
Officially.
No, not officially.
Not officially. No. I think it's. I think the politest way to say it would be that it's now probably one of the worst kept secrets in the hobby. But in that pretty much everyone has guessed it, and the that this person is on our radar. I think it's probably fair to say.
That's fair.
And but beyond that, I mean, listen.
Very exciting. I will say that. It's very, very exciting. Yeah. If it is right, it's very, very exciting what's coming out for sure. Nice. Not to create a crazy hype train thing, but I do think it's really exciting. I'm excited for sure.
I'm going to add in someone else now. Now, this is a gentleman who I'm very excited, and we've wanted to get him on the podcast for a while. So it's quite a lot of fun that he's decided to jump in. There's a guy called Chris Mixer. Who you may or may not have heard of. He runs the @SketchCards Twitter account, and he also writes about sketch cards for Beckett and a number of other publications. And he's kind of like the one of the leading authorities on sketch cards, I guess.
He's really great.
Cards.
Yeah.
So he's an interesting chap. So let me see if I can work out how to add him in. So if I press the wrong button, we'll all disappear. But let's hope I don't do that.
This was giving me a more of a chance to go through Andre's Instagram account, and this is nuts.
Right?
I love this art.
So good.
I've been trying to get on Star Wars, but nobody replies to my emails.
Oh. Yeah, I love some of these cards. And then you've got like the two, the ones where you have like two of them that's together. Although the Emma Frost, I don't know how I'd feel if I just gotten they are combined. Okay.
They're the dual panels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Premiere.
Must be the Premiere. Yeah. They're kind of hinged. They're like those playbook cards that you get in NFL.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're
Greg, you don't have those as sketch cards for Star Wars? They don't do the hinge? Like in Masterworks?
They do. That was I got the trifold one that I'd done the episode with Kelly Baber. and that was the fold out one, and it had the speeder bike. And then
I saw that one. Yeah.
And then I had to make an arrangement with Mac to get him the card. It was to be a part of that collection. I was like that. Once I got that card, I'm like, this is no longer my property by right. So.
Are you paying people in sketch cards now?
Sketches are currency.
Yeah, well, they are actually on eBay.
Yeah, really are.
which is a perfect moment to actually add Chris into the call. So
Yes.
Now that I've got him, let me just press that, and here, hopefully, he will appear any moment now into our ears or possibly our eyes as well. Yeah, it's interesting. I was chatting to someone new on the group about sketch cards on ePacks and how they appear to have a different value to that of the physical world, or even selling them on eBay. They're definitely the currency of choice on that platform. So it's always good to have a few in your pocket, I find. Speaking of having someone in our pocket, Chris, good morning.
Good day. Can you hear me?
We can hear you very, very loud and clear. Yes. How are you?
Hey, well, it is. I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
Very nice.
You're right. You're close to me.
You can come over anytime.
Okay. See, that's all I needed to hear. You don't say stuff like that. See, now I'm already in my car and I'm driving.
On record now.
Yeah, that's a somewhat reckless invitation in these violent times.
Gotta be careful, man.
So Chris, welcome. We've been meaning to have you on for a little while. So this is quite funky that you're joining us for a bit of a jamboree up in here.
Well, that's what happens when you have open invitations.
Well,
See?
yeah, invitation's always open to you. Do you listen to the podcast, by the way?
I do.
Oh, good. So this is the point where you're either going to be okay with it or take me to task for the fact that every time we talk about you, I call you Mixy Mix.
No, that's fine. I will say, though, that I usually listen in my car, and with the coronavirus shutdown, I have not heard the most recent episodes.
Okay.
Nowhere to go.
Fair enough. We did actually notice that. That's one very interesting thing. Actually, Greg, so just, Chris, it's like when someone comes to a party and you have to introduce them to all the other guests. So, Chris, so on the podcast, we've got Greg McLaughlin. It's a kind of a soft sound in your surname. I know you always pronounce it perfectly because it's your name.
Whenever I encounter folks from the UK, Ireland, or Scotland, I always try to have them pronounce my name as it should be, which should be McLaughlin. But I here in the States, I think they slur it as McLaughlin.
Oh, right. So that's what you always say on the podcast, and so I struggle with that because it's a hard loch sound on the surname. Anyway.
What happens when you get off on the boat, a couple centuries ago, and nobody cares anymore. That's the thing. That's the sad part. So I always, like I said, whenever I've had to deal with, customers from the other side of the pond, I said, please, pronounce my name the way it should be pronounced.
Good. Well, Greg. So, Chris, if you don't know, Greg does the Rebel Base Card podcast,
And he's got a top hat.
Yes, I've got some serious. What hair I have left, I was like, if I better prepare for this call, so I'm like, I'll just get on my Tops hat and go.
I can only actually see one video at the moment, and that's Norrin's. So, but it's cool. We can do the audio. And the other young fella in on this call is Andre Orsch, who I'm sure you'd have heard of.
How's it going?
Very good.
So Greg was just oohing and ahhing over Andre's Instagram account, and we got talking about double panel sketch cards. And I didn't realize this, Greg. So on the top sets, they do multi-panel cards like they do on Marvel Premiere.
Yes, and those are obviously hard to come by. Sketch cards are hard to come by, regardless. And it's interesting when we talked about even the values of the fold out ones, the trifold, on a secondary market. Sometimes they can be considered as 2-card or 3-card, values. And, obviously more than just, a single sketch card. So, I think since I have come to learn more about sketch cards in the last year, finding their value and, how they've evolved and the values have evolved, still to me seem to be a moving target. And it's been interesting coming back into the collecting world, from just, when we go from being collectors to like, podcasts and having, channels and getting more public about it, you keep finding more of this information. And I think they become even more special just because of how unique they are and their values,
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, Chris, this is kind of your specialty, isn't it? So tell for those listening, kind of, I know you as kind of Mr. Sketch Card, if you like, but just tell the folks listening, kind of, what you do and why you're, Mr. Sketch Cards.
I don't know, but my name is Chris Mixer. On Twitter, I go by the handle Sketch Cards, one word. I also write an article for Non-Sport Update magazine where I interview artists. I've been doing that about a year, and been actively collecting sketch cards across all properties since 1998.
Wow. So pretty much since the dawn of sketch cards.
The year to start, baby.
I guess it was cheaper back then. I'll say that.
Don't even start with me. I don't want to hear that. Okay, I am so depressed by. I've spoken to so many amazing collectors everywhere, and usually people who, like yourself, started in '98. When I was in '98, for me, when I first started seeing Sketchographs, I was at my work computer, just drooling at these things, printing them off, making my little binder of like cards I want to hunt for later on. And I remember seeing $19.99, $29.99 for cards now that are at least $150 on eBay, and it's just
In 1998, you would have to log into eBay with dial-up internet.
Yes.
Yep.
And then you could pay using like money orders through the mail.
Well, I was talking to our very good friend Kevin St. Jack, and Kevin, the man,
Great guy,
super awesome, and he was showing me the forms. Now you'll laugh at this, Greg and Andre. He showed me the forms where you guys would mail each other pictures of printouts of what you guys had, or somewhere on eBay or something like that, and you would circle what you want, or you put an artist down on this form and you would mail it to each other.
Right, because not everyone had scanners in 1998. Sometimes you would photocopy 9 cards to the photocopier and then mail them a page.
I love that so much. I think about that all the time.
Did faxes ever get involved?
Did who?
Did you ever fax anything?
Oh, I don't think so. That was usually an office product. I don't think I ever personally owned a fax machine.
They were pretty hefty in the old days.
Yeah, man. That's a big sucker.
Yeah. I don't know anyone who still has faxes, or even anyone who still puts the fact. Remember you used to have a I can't believe I'm talking about this. Like, do you remember if? Like, I'm some old like Methuselah. But you remember when you used to have you had telephone number listed, then you had fax number listed.
Yes.
And now it's like, and we've just been looking at like a new little thing for our Instagram, and all we've put is Google at the MCC pod to find us, because that's all you need to do.
Yeah. It's the internet web browser yellow pages, man.
Well, tell me about it. They're scarily powerful. So Andre, how many Marvel sets have you done now? And it's not a trick question. I just keep seeing your work on sets. I forgot. I didn't know you doing it.
The first one I did was the Premiere 17.
That's right.
That was the first one. Then I did Black Panther. I did Infinity War. I did Masterpieces 18. That was the previous one. Far From Home and Endgame, which I haven't been cleared to say that I worked on, but I've seen the cards pop up. So yeah, I worked on Endgame.
They're out there. So
yeah, they're out there. Some of them.
I've got my first one of yours here, the Black Panther. I can't even see my own camera, so I've got no idea what's going on, or if that's in frame. But
such a good piece.
I've shown that. So yeah, I finally got that Black Panther one of yours that I had my eye on. And I've seen.
Funny, it's funny because that sketch actually came to me before I shipped it to Ian, and I remember I unpacked it. And I looked at it, and I was like, "Damn, Andre, calm down, man."
I literally speak of you. There we go. I'm finally figuring out how to work Twitter. I finally clicked on Speak of You, and it's doing a grand total of nothing. So I've got no idea what's happening right now. Anyway, never mind. I'll put that away. But I've got my eye on a couple of others of yours that I keep seeing floating around on the interwebs. So you never know. You never know. I want to tell a little story now, because I promised I'd tell you, Norrin, and I kind of feel like it'd be good to sort of tell with everyone on. So this is fascinatingly interesting, but I think it's quite a funny story. So you remember that package that you mailed me, Norrin, that got lost?
Yes, finally.
Right.
Tell me what
happened. Okay, so what happened was, because I'm in the UK, you might not be able to tell, but before Christmas, Norrin receives stuff from me when I get it from various people, and they may mail it to Norrin. You should have a package arriving from Pankit, by the way.
Oh, okay, cool.
Any day now, with some really lovely stuff in. Because I was in New Hampshire for Christmas, you mailed 2 packages to me there. The reason you mailed 2 packages is because one of them was really quite large, because it contained a Joe Driscoll prelim, and also this uncut sheet of Masterpieces 1992 that Joe Driscoll remarked at the bottom. I literally cannot see my screen, so I don't know if that's in shot or not. But
it looks great. It's in shot.
He did a black cat. So basically, Joe found loads of these and sold them on the Marvel Masterpieces collectors group that we run. And I bought one, and he didn't say he was going to do this. He just added these remarks on for people, which is astonishing. So I got that. So needless to say, that had to be flat. So the other package had a few comics in, a few sketch cards, some empty Marvel Premiere boxes and tins from the last few years, because I like them. And that one never arrived. And I was like, well, I'm kind of okay with the fact that the one that had that in,
that's the most important.
Just go prelim of Masterpieces 2016 Black Cat and a couple of other pieces arrived okay. And the other one was like, we filled in the form, the tracking disappeared when it got to the North Carolina hub. And yet the other one you could see making its way all the way to New Hampshire. So I thought, thought nothing of it. You investigated, you rang them up, and in the end, we kind of gave up on it. So fast forward to this week, I saw loads of people posting new breaks from Marvel Premiere. And I was like, you know what? I still really like the tins that they come in. So for those who haven't seen, and Greg, you might not have seen this, Marvel Premiere is kind of the top end product that Upper Deck put out for Marvel at the moment, and it comes in a tin, but you literally just get 5 cards in it. It's like $250, but at least 2 of them are sketches, and that's where the multi-panels come in. So it's kind of the top end, and it's very much mirroring what Sports Card do with their top card, Immaculate and Flawless products. So I posted on the group, this package went missing. Has anyone got it? Has anyone got any of these tins? Not has anyone got it. But alarmingly, someone actually did have the package.
So, wait, what?
Yeah. So what happened was, the guy that I got the tins from, who sent me the tins for free, but I paid shipping, reused a box. Okay. But he put the name and address to you on one side, and you put that over the top when you sent it on to New Hampshire. On the bottom of it, however, he hadn't covered over the shipping label that went to him originally.
Are you
so
kidding?
It actually went back to him
instead of going to me.
Instead of going to New Hampshire. So this is the lesson, folks. If you reuse boxes, make sure you cover up all of the shipping information from the last time it was used. Don't just use the other side of the box.
That's
hilarious. Turn it over. So yeah, but it's weird that the tracking disappeared. But
yeah, because that's the thing. I saw you showed me a picture.
Yeah,
right. I saw the tracking ripped off, and I was like, "What? Weird."
So it's been found.
Well, that's awesome.
It's like the most random thing, and in there is some Black Cat variant covers. So Greg, this is what's in there from your point of view, is when we first guested on your podcast and you guested on ours, I went and created a Topps account, and I bought the trailer set from Rise of Skywalker, the second trailer, and the individual poster card, and that was in that package.
Wow.
So it is recovered. and it is on the way
Nice.
to me.
That's awesome.
Also in there was a Tess Fowler Black Cat sketch card from a Women of Marvel set, I think, that Kevin number 2, I Eat Cards on Instagram,
Who's the best?
had sent to me. He just gifted it to me, which was really sweet of him. So when that eventually, I've told this fella Theodore, I've told him to keep hold of it for now. Let's just not ship it anywhere in all this chaos and madness. But yeah, how's about for a Shaggy Dog story of a package that has been missing for 6 months?
Oh, my heavens.
How the hell did that happen? Just bizarre.
I've not told you this. I wanted to wait until the podcast.
Holy God. Well, I'm just glad it got found because I put a insurance. I put a bunch of stuff out for it and hounded them for like months. And I was kind of like, this is ridiculous, man. Because then, crazy enough, the very kind woman who I'm sure deals with all these crazy people who lose packages was on the phone, and she was kind of like, here's the really horrible part. You should give me a list of what it is very specifically of what was inside the box. Because if it is in the lost and the box maybe was torn open and that's why we couldn't ship it, your products might be just laying around in a bin, and that's how I'll be able to identify it. And I was kind of like, I just started sweating. I was like, oh my God. I just thought of all my cards that could have been lost in the mail. I was like, no. The horror.
So I think that's definitely a lucky escape. Have you had anything actually lost in the mail that to this day you wonder where it landed and regret? Chris, this might be a good one for you, having such a big sketch card collection.
Well, once, I'll change the subject a little bit. Here in Atlanta, you can go to the postal auctions. And I went to the Lost Mail postal auction.
Wow.
And rather than sell items individually, they bundle them in giant lots. So you could get like 10 cameras or, 20 books, and then they actually have live auctions for lost items lost in the mail.
Wow.
That's so cool.
Wow.
That's absolutely crazy. So what did you end up coming away with?
Well, I thought everything was overvalued because people get so excited they're willing to just go crazy without actually testing the electronics or, checking the quality of the merchandise. And so I walked away with nothing, but I did learn where it goes.
Oh,
that's so cool, though.
Jeez. I blame Storage Wars for this.
Yep.
We've seen that a little bit in the UK. Isn't there another show as well called Pawn Stars, but PAWN?
So many of these shows.
Yes.
Ian, you have no idea.
It's just I'm sure they're broadcast on a UK channel somewhere. It's not, however, one that my wife will let me watch.
You're better off.
Yeah, probably for the best. I'm going to add in. There's another young fella waiting to come on, all the way from Australia. Mark Bartell. So let's bring Mark in and see what he wants to say, if I can figure out how to do this. Oh my goodness me.
Putting you on the spot today. Yeah.
I know. One day I'll get this right. There we go. It's Skype. It's not the most user intuitive because when someone sends you a chat message, even if you accept it, they don't automatically get added to your contacts. It's fascinating listening for everyone. But so you have to actually go and add them to your contacts before you can then add them into an existing call.
No, and you got to be careful because you respond to a chat message, you're going to show up on a podcast good I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and this is exactly what Mark has just done. Mark, welcome.
Mark.
Hello. Good morning, good evening.
Hey, bud.
Mark, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Sydney, Australia.
Ah,
Nice.
Good day. What time is it there?
Just after 12.
Oh, okay.
No, it's 4 minutes till 12.
Okay.
I'm ahead of myself.
Oh, right. And that's so midnight almost.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
So in 4 minutes, what do you turn into?
Into my pajamas and in bed with my girlfriend.
Oh, good. Well, we've got you for 4 minutes then. Mark, tell us about yourself. I've seen some of the stuff you've been doing recently on Instagram, and you've just sent me a picture. But you can probably describe it better than me. What do you do?
I'm before this COVID virus thing. I'm a graphic designer. But I've love comics or comic art specifically. I just randomly found you guys, MCC Pod, on like iTunes. And yeah, like a lot of everybody in the community, man, Marvel Masterpieces 92, 93, 94 is nostalgic in my heart.
Yeah.
And so, I just wanted like draw in the meantime. I'm a bit like burnt out from graphic design, but oh man, the nostalgia and the just the coolness of cards, it's so cool. Love it.
Yeah, it is absolutely amazing. And you've just started doing your own little kind of sketch cards, haven't you? Just sort of doing practice runs.
I've literally just finished my Hulk about minutes ago. Yeah.
Wow. I'm just going to see if I can. I've got no idea how to send the image that you sent into the chat, so we'll just we'll put it on the tasting notes. But no, thank you for that. Well, keep practicing. So just so you know, Mark, meet Chris, Chris Mixer.
Good day.
Who writes about sketch cards for Non-Sport Update magazine. We've got Greg McLaughlin, who's the host of the Rebel Base Card podcast.
Evening.
Cool.
We've got Andre Orsh, who is a sketch card artist based in Toronto in Canada.
Andre, he's a gentleman. Love that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's cool. Yeah. Great art.
Thanks, buddy. I think we were just chatting on Instagram yesterday.
Yeah, dude, your stuff, really cool. Really cool.
Thanks. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, nice.
I love it. This is like an Andre appreciation society going on. Here. It's like a support group. Give me the strength to own the sketch cards I have and the patience to know that I won't own all of them. So did anyone have any, because we threw this open, we didn't expect to have quite so many people jump on and for there to be such a response, because as I mentioned earlier, we had someone drop out at short notice. So did anyone have any kind of questions or things they wanted to share while we're all sort of gathered, just to get different perspectives on how we kind of appreciate the cards and the hobby?
Ian, I had a quick one, if you wouldn't mind, and it had to do when earlier in the conversation you guys were talking about Endgame, and I noticed this morning, or maybe I just didn't notice it yesterday, that they were having a bit of a deal on I think it was the 1 year anniversary of Endgame, and so I started seeing they were throwing some of the card set in there, and I was draining my coffers in the app, collecting some of these Endgame cards, and I thought they were really nice because me and movie cards, well, it's a thing, right? But I just I didn't know if I believe Upper Deck did an Endgame set, right? Or they were releasing one. I know there's a bit of a lag.
Yeah, quite a lag actually, and we kind of touched on this on last week's episode. So you're probably talking about the Topps Collect app, where you're getting the digital Endgame related cards. Sorry, let me just turn Alexa off, because she has a habit of jumping in on the podcast and joining in. So there's always three of us on the podcast. Upper Deck have just released the Endgame set, and Dre, you were just saying that even though you haven't been given approval, the cards are out there and being seen because the set has dropped physically. Yeah,
and I'm just looking at my email, trying to remember when I actually sent them out. December 1st is when I sent my sketches to Upper Deck.
Wow. Okay.
Like my final cards. So, and I guess the set got released April 1st of this year. So it was like 5 months.
Yeah.
But I think it was supposed to be released earlier.
Okay. Yeah, it did get pushed in the schedules, and that wasn't COVID related. I don't think that's just a general. That often happens with Upper Deck sets, I find. So yeah, that time lag between the movie and the sets, I think, is an unfortunate aspect of it. I mean, people still go nuts for it when it comes out, and I'm under no doubt that when it goes onto e-packs, it will sell very quickly, because the guys on e-packs buy in to get the autos.
Very quickly.
Yeah, those are the things, and obviously the sketch cards as well. But the autos are the things that people tend to go for. Do you go for any of the physical cards on that side, Greg, or is it just the digital side that you've been dipping your toe into with Marvel?
Well, the more I have been getting into EPAC, it's a slippery slope. It was working on the Doctor Strange, and I think was that from 2017.
Yeah.
And seeing the it was either the Daredevil or the Defenders, but some more of these sets that come out, including this Endgame, the more I've been kind of like thinking like these are really, really, nice cards, and kind of stepping out of your collect comfort zone. I'm like, no, I wouldn't mind having some of these. And, I think even before there was that set we talked about, that Blowout had a really good deal on it. I think it was the comic set. And this was from a little while back, but the cards on the back ended up making pages of a comic book.
Avengers Kree Scroll War.
Yes. And so some of these going, this may be something that I'd like to dip my toe into. And, I think after, being on EPAC for a while and seeing some of these and getting more exposure to them, there might be something I wouldn't mind chasing. And especially with Endgame, because, as far as a movie product goes, it's a really, there's a lot of great visuals in that, as opposed to say like a Doctor Strange, where a lot of it was just, portraits of, you have these different characters. Endgame is a little more eye candy, I guess.
Yeah. One of the fun things about the sets that because last weekend I went ham on the Daredevil set from Daredevil seasons 1 and 2 because it was on sale, and I ended up pulling a remarkable number of autographs by John Bernthal, who plays Punisher. I think I got 3 of the 4 of his from my purchases. I got about 4 sketch cards, and I pretty much did most of the set that I wanted to do in about 24 hours, which is good. And now I've just got to get it shipped to me, which is another conversation altogether. But at that side, I don't personally go for the MCU cards as much, and I don't know why that is, because I love the films, but it's the comic art ones. But the thing about Daredevil is because it's a TV show, I do kind of TV show related sets. So it's bizarre. I'm not quite sure what that switch is in my head that I don't go for the MCU ones. Aside from the sketch cards that are related to it, of course.
Well, non-sport has a huge history with television set releases.
Yeah.
We've seen a couple of I've seen a couple of pieces from Ian's set, and Ian has like really awesome shows I used to watch, and he has the full sets and the card series and autographs. And I think for me, there's a part of card collecting, especially when you get into like TV and movies, where it's like, and this was kind of Greg's fault. I collect. No, don't fault. This is amazing. I have the full trailer set and the full season 1 of The Mandalorian. Not the autographs. I didn't go ham on that. I'm waiting for my Mandalorian autograph. And I got those 2 pieces, and it's kind of this great way of being like, I really enjoyed that show. Here's like my gift shop item from that show. You know what I mean? It's like I went to a museum. Yeah. Like, let me get this little product, and this is my way to remember that product. It's kind of how I'm starting to think about like TV show card sets and stuff like that. Because Ian and I have joked around having a live show where we watch Angel.
Yeah.
Pilot 1, joked around and stuff like that. But I do really love how the set kind of encapsulates that moment, especially with the autographs. So I'm really starting to understand those sets a lot more, because I really didn't get into the hobby with that. I got pretty much in with Chris with sketch cards, which is why I've never dived into those TV and movie sets, because the sketch card pools are so difficult to do, and they're always like actor related, at least for those sketch cards. I feel like sometimes I don't know, I feel like they're harder to pull. Maybe I don't know. I've always, maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't know. Is it 1 sketch card per Endgame box or anything like that, or is it a little harder of a pull?
I think it's a little bit harder of a pull. They've tended to make them a little harder of late. I think they only really go for the 1 a box now if it's a premium kind of end set. That feels like the way. Chris, you might know better than me on that.
Well, let me jump in. The Endgame added a new type of insert called the buyback. What they did is they took base cards from previous sets like Thor or Black Panther or Ant-Man, just base cards, but then stamped them with a 1-of-1 foil stamp.
That's right.
And then reinserted them as the hit that you're looking for, not necessarily a sketch card or an autograph, but now you might be looking for a 1-of-1 base card buyback. And if the buyback is of a major character, it's probably a good one. If it's just a random base card, it probably only sells $5 or $10.
That's interesting that they've started to go back to their very recent history and their own stock. So I would question if they actually did buy that back, or whether it was just
obviously, yes.
In a
All right, let's go back to the
somewhere.
warehouse, guys. We got a few we have to pick up.
Yeah, let's figure this out. We've got to bump up the ratio slightly.
Buybacks. I'm a stamp.
But if you think about it, it's a really smart way of bringing collectors back.
Yeah.
Again, like you said, you go after certain shows or certain films, but you won't go after everything. But if you, for example, went ham on Daredevil, and now they did a buyback of Daredevil and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you're now going to chase Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to try to get that one card to complete your Daredevil set.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. I don't think the only buybacks I've ever gone for are the these ones, which I've literally just taken down, which are the Marvel Masterpieces 92 buybacks that were included in Masterpieces 2016. And that kind of those are the first buybacks I've seen them do. And this gold bit here, the silver bit here, is the stamp that they put on it. But these are from '92, so they're actually a different company and kind of a different era, I guess. So in my head, these make a lot more sense to be, and in fact are very desirable to collect. I've maybe got a quarter of the set. And obviously they did it with Fleer Ultra X-Men and Fleer Ultra Spider-Man, going for that kind of nostalgia angle on the buybacks. So it's interesting what they've done with Endgame, in that they're not that old, the sets, and in fact many of them are still in stock, and you can still get some of those sets on Upper Deck as well as in physical release. They're not yet sold out. So it's interesting that they've gone a different way around that by making them 1-of-1s.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. I think, so I have two things. One, a question for Chris, because I'm really interested in, I think he has the knowledge for this, because he is so knowledgeable. By the way, Chris, I love your blog. Just going to put that out there for you.
I haven't done much with it recently, but I guess I should. Thank you.
I actually save PDF most of your articles because it's just such great insight that I always put it off in like my folder files and stuff like that. Especially if I have a card that you're talking about, I'm just like, all right, now I know all the details. I think so. There was something, and I don't think it was the 75th anniversary. Chris, you're gonna have to help me out with this. So Marvel Legends, right? 2001.
Tops.
Yes.
Tops. They did a buyback of those, but they placed him in baseball sets or some other kind of top product, and you could come across a Marvel buyback. Is that right?
I have some information, and I don't know if I'm supposed to share yet because it's going to be in the next article of Non-Sport Update magazine.
So funny.
But
don't spoil it.
Just interviewed a guy named Jeff Zapata. I don't know if you've heard that name. He's pretty famous in Garbage Pail Kids land. But Jeff Zapata was working for Topps in the year 2001. And he put together the very first sketch card set for Topps, because he came from the comic book world. And when he was an editor at Topps, he called up all of his friends and asked them to draw the sketch cards for basically free, just to start this whole new insert that had never existed at Topps. Wow. So when you see those big names in 2001, the John Romitas, the I'm trying to remember, Merritt Michaels, or I'm trying to remember who they were. They were his personal friends that he invited to come do the set, and they did it as a personal favor. And that's how the first 2001 sketch card set for Topps was ever made.
That's so cool.
When Jeff Zapata realized he had success, they asked him to launch all types of sketch cards for the baseball sets, for the Star Wars sets. He was then the person putting together the sketch card sets for Topps for about 10 years, getting Garbage Pail Kids sketch cards started. And so he finally left Topps and now just is a freelance illustrator. But when I interviewed him, I didn't realize how much he was the centerpiece to Topps getting in the sketch card business. And so I don't know if 2001 Marvel Legends had buybacks. I know that there were retail sketch artists that were different than the hobby sketch artists. And they didn't even call them sketch cards back then. They called them custom cover cards.
Yes.
And each character had a different rarity. So Hulk would be easier to find than, I don't know, off the top of my head.
Don't mention him. Okay, it took me years to find him. Okay, Silver Surfer is one of the rarest ones.
Well, he's one of the retail exclusives. You would have only found him not in a hobby box, but only in retail packs on like a Walmart shelf. So the odds of them ever, staying in good condition and coming to light are pretty rare.
Wow. That's incredible. Norrin, you need to go to some of those auctions that we were talking about. storage.
I'm already there, man.
Yeah.
I was seeing the look on Norrin's face. That's a determination right there.
You saw the gears turning, right? You were like, "Oh boy, this guy." Here, this is one of the Marvel Legends for the people.
Yeah, I need that one.
You need that one? Here, I'll send it to you.
Hey, your nose just grew there, Norrin.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, sorry, guys. Pardon me.
So Mark,
one that goes right back to your house.
Mark, are you still there?
Yeah, sure am.
Oh, good. You're sorry. You're enjoying listening to all these marvelous people talking. I just wanted to ask: do you collect anything current yourself, or a particular character or set? What's your poison?
Well, my poison is still living out my childhood. So I just ordered in from eBay 1994 Fleet Ultra X-Men, the base set.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so listening to you guys, just going back to the roots and loving the art, appreciating that as an artist myself who's into it. So I'm coming more from a creator than, at this point, not as a collector, but oh my God, I know I could be jumping into a deep hole where I can never get out.
It's a very deep hole. You won't go wrong in terms of the satisfaction level. I think I'd probably speak for all of us. With those with Fleer Ultra X-Men 94 and 95, Masterpieces 92, 93, which continues to it's like an onion. On face value, a lot of people don't dig 93, but the more you look at it and the more you get into it and the more you actually look at some of the artists whose art is used in Masterpieces 93, you're like, ow, okay.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you guys talk every week about e-packs, and that's something on my mind, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I should do it.
Stay away, man.
Financially, socially, I don't know. But I admire what you guys do, and it's really cool to know there's people that have the passion for this, which is really cool. Yeah.
Well, what is good, and this is one thing that someone asked a question last week about, how the hobby, can, how do you get the hobby back to where it was? And I would argue that it's a different kind of boom in the hobby at the moment. It's just that it's distributed and consumed in a different way. And a lot of that's to do with how the license works, and a lot of the entry level stuff is maybe not with Upper Deck. Maybe more on that digital side, Greg, as you mentioned, the Topps Collect app, people, they're collecting on these now rather than physically. However, it still doesn't take away the sheer joy of still having this to open, which I'm very much looking forward to doing. So, Norrin, I've teased you with this a couple of times, Norrin, and I know you're gagging for me to open it. It's Marvel Universe Series 3 from '92, which was my gateway drug.
It was mine too.
You bring up a great question that we have a nostalgia for that set. We grew up with it as kids, and I wonder if kids today are going to have a nostalgia 20 years from now, since it is so digital or high end, or, our nostalgia is because it was pervasive. It was in retail shops and hobby shops in our friends' bedrooms.
Yep.
And you wonder if that's going to be there 20 years from now.
So for me, I always think about digital archiving, right? Like if you are opening packs on your phone and you have an app, I feel like generations in the future will come back, because it's happened to me a little bit, right? Where I went to an old website or something like that when I was younger, and like there was an avatar there, and I had like some items, or it was like Gaia Online, something back in the day I messed with. I was younger. I was like, all right, this is pretty cool, because it was like a meeting place for artists and stuff like that. So I thought it was pretty interesting, and you could like make an avatar and all this stuff. And maybe like 6 months ago, I went back and I logged in and I saw all these old items, and it was still up and active, and it was still site, and I was kind of like, oh man, this is bringing me back to when I did this. So I wonder if collectors today who do collect digitally, or e-pack or anything like that, will just re-log in and see their collection, right? Instead of going to their shelf, instead of going out to buy these things again just to physically touch them again. Maybe this is more of a digital experience that will be happening in the future. I don't know.
Well, in the Star Wars card trader app recently, they'd gone back to the vintage style, the cards that they had. There was an insert that was released not long after the Topps app came out in 2015 that was very popular, and one of the myths of that particular, there was a vintage hand that it was an insert, there was only a certain number, but a lot of people who got excited got into the app, abandoned the app not long after. So a lot of these cards were considered dead. And so recently Topps, in their new build, because in many of their apps now they have a new build with a new kind of way of doing it, had tried to relaunch this vintage line and offered some of these cards that they had found, I guess, from dead accounts, and crashed the servers for one thing. So there was this nostalgia of this vintage these vintage cards, and they've done some newer ones in that style that did bring back, certainly I think brought back some activity in the app, brought it to its knees. But I think there is that people kind of, and there was there was an article I think that was released that had talked about it, and so there was a little bit of buzz going back in, and I think some people, because if you're thinking about these digital apps, it's like if you're downloading a game, like when was the last time anybody played Angry Birds, but everybody remembers playing it? Because it's only, you only have it, and the lifespan of an app on your phone actively, it's not that long, as opposed to like when you're talking about the card apps, where these are apps that, that will stay on. Like I've had, these card trading apps for, years now. Some of them I've gone back into, like the Kick, which I think, the NFL one, Huddle, Topps lost their license for, and it's still going on in this sort of zombie state. Same thing with, I think, it's like Kick lost the license for one of the leagues for a while, and so you've got these apps. Walking Dead's another one where they have them on life support. But to answer your question quickly, I've been recently taking some screenshots. A lot of times, if I'm opening up these cards and I like an insert, I'm taking screenshots of sometimes entire sets and posting them on my Facebook page, because Instagram's a great place to do highlights, but nobody wants to see you spam it with like 15 images. But there's something where Facebook is something where I can have an album and it can be there, ad infinitum. We've been on Facebook forever, and on my page, and I go, well, that's a great place for that, and I can kind of go back and look at it. But some of these, just because there are so many digital cards, that a lot of times I filter out only by the current year, because otherwise, if I keep an active look at 5 years of cards, I've got over 100,000 digital cards in the Star Wars app. It bogs it down. It's not a great place. It's like, any of these photo apps on your computer or whatnot, when you start getting thousands, tens of thousands, and hundreds of thousands of pictures, it's not a great way to, it's a great way to archive, but it's, what these people who do the apps, whether it's, Panini or whether it's, Upper Deck e-pack, when you were talking about your e-pack ones, is these are photo albums. They're cards, but they're photo albums. So you've got to give me a way to not only sort them and mix them around, but I want to go back to and look at these and enjoy them. Whereas like in the past, and I was showing up this box the God of this is a Fleer NBA from 1990 that I got sealed for my son. And, just the fact, and I bought these just to open them. This is junk wax, but, he got 3 Michael Jordans in this one.
Wow.
But, that's something where, yes, you're right. There's going to be a nostalgia, but how are they going to access those cards?
Yeah, well, the old joke goes, nostalgia is not what it used to be. Which I've been dying to use on this podcast for 42 episodes now.
Well, that about wraps up today's episode. Thank you so much for listening, and tune in for part 2 of this epic discussion where we hear more from our knowledgeable and fascinating guest. Take it away, Ian, and enjoy collecting.
Thanks for listening to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast. You can subscribe via our home on anchor.fm/MCCP. Leave us a message via that link with questions, comments, or just to say hi, and we may even play on the show. We're also on iTunes, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms. Our podcast is at the MCC Pod on Facebook and Twitter, and you can find links on our Facebook page to the 2 groups MCCW, Marvel Card Collectors Worldwide, and MMC, Marvel Masterpieces Collectors. On Instagram, find us at MM Collectors and at Sketch Card Hive. The great music we use is called Rocket Power by Kevin MacLeod. Thanks to the collectors, artists, and creators who support the Marvel Cards Fan Collective. We'll see you next time, and remember, it's a small hobby but a fun one. Make mine Marvel and enjoy collecting.